Sinister mind. Sinister mind.
Dissecting Francis Stein Podcast.
Evil thoughts.
All right,
Sinister
welcome
mind.
again to Dissecting Francis Stein. This is where we talk all things Francis with regard to my book, Introduction of Francis Stein by Patricia Bradshaw. And on my panel, I have LaToya McClennan, I have Valencia Ward, and I have Clyde Williams. And they are people in my life that I love. It'd probably be a little different if we had some people in here that didn't love me or didn't like me. Then they probably would really be down on Frank. But anyway, I want to talk about the most relatable characters. You know, can you relate any kind of way on them? And then for each character, they had consequences to their behaviors. And so what about the consequences? What was it? Just, I ain't gonna say if it was justified, because really nothing she did was justified. However, the consequences, did they fit the crime? Did they fit the crime? I mean, right off the bat, we could say no, because everything that happened to her, you except for one thing, you should have been able to get over and allow somebody to live. But anyway, the most relatable, I'm going to start. I relate to Frances. I do. I relate to her. I understand her. I think sometimes like her. While I may not go through the extent or all the way like she did, because I don't wish death on anybody. I sometimes wish that I could run them over with my car and then, probably, no, baby. Got people do things, and of course you can't, what I'm learning now, even in my therapy, is that I need to let stuff roll off me like a duck. But after you've spent a lot of years of your life taking in whatever it is that's being done to you, then it's hard to just turn that button off.
So would you say difficult? So would you say that's the hardest lesson Francis would have to learn?
Yes. Because she didn't know how to let it roll off of her and continue in a relationship. Notice how all of them that hurt her, it was cut it off, I'm gone. And pretty much I'm kind of like that. I remove myself, but I don't try to go back. I don't try to manipulate you to come in. I be like, you're like air to me. I don't see you. And I don't want to see you. And then don't come in my space and don't bother me. And I'm not going to bother you, because I believe in, if I don't like you or you're not for me, stay away from me. Now, that's something that Frances should have learned, but she did it. Yeah. And she used that revenge thing. You know what helped me not do revenge was Father saying, vengeance is mine, said, yeah.
So is that you Francis' biggest red flag was her thirst for revenge?
Well, she didn't search for revenge. She thought on revenge, and she manifested thirst. Oh, sorry, yeah, thirst. Yeah, she was thirsty for revenge, especially because, man, I'm trying to figure out really what's wrong, girl. Cause
just selfish, y'all. She was selfish. All these were selfish desires.
So that, she needs some selfishness because nobody else tended to herself and the stuff she wanted.
She was responsible for that.
No, she was
responsible. I'm saying, I don't care. Everything was selfish. She was treacherous. She was deceitful. She was intelligent. She was brilliant. I don't see her showing love to nobody. Even though she act like daddy, she kind of loves the little daddy a little bit. She really wasn't a person.
When did that love go away and became a big love, a little love?
There was some little love. I saw some kind of little concern with that. Whenever he said so, she tried to get all offensive until he said, wait a minute, young lady, now. I'm the daddy. And then, okay, dad. And she still let that go. Still did exactly what Francis was selfish. Point blank. That's all it is, too. You get some everything up. Manipulation, deceitful, intelligent.
Hello, time, son.
You can serve all of that stuff up and it's still selfish.
Yeah.
Clyde, talk to me.
Oh, we doing relatable characters. Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you. That's why I was right here. She selfish amongst a bunch of things, but I'm also say I relate to Francis. No, it's different. It's different. I don't know. No one, I relate to being the main character. You see? And then number two, I know what it's like to have a plan and get it all the way wrong. And that's what I feel like she did. I feel like she had been planning this, and we see how it ended up for her. Outside of that, I can't relate to the men. They all move in a way where I can't see myself. But my mama did a good job. So.
Well, yeah, they, I don't know. Francis, I can relate to her, like I said, and for you to be able to relate to her, I appreciate that. Because, while you may not done the evil things, but you did pull out, okay, there was a plan, and we see it through and it didn't work. But you lived to make another plan. And so that's the difference.
Yeah. So, it not working out comes with a lot of, acknowledgement and realizing what you did and what you could do better, what you did wrong, and so that's more so.
But she never realized.
She died, but I'm alive.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. I've had plans and things that I've, tried to plan to every detail. Or do you think you consider every possibility and it don't go that way? But then that's where it stopped. I'm alive.
Yeah. Glory. All right. Praise him. Everybody in the book ain't say that.
The character that I relate to, in one dimension is Javier. He was Francis's ride or die. He helped aid and abet. He'd do anything for. And how ironic that my mom and my brother most relate to Francis, because I'll do anything for them. Yeah, Javier was kind of weird in how he does. I'm not a man, so I wouldn't move in how he did. But that part of I'll do what it is that you need me to do, just to keep everything together. That's about who I could closely say I could relate to, other than saying Francis. I have my moments, and I'll just leave it at that. but yeah, for most part, Javier.
What about you, B?
Well, Clyde has something on his heart.
Well, no, it's just because, I want to be clear. Like, you see Javier and you, I don't. I see Javier as what they would call a silk. What? A silk.
Silk in that part.
AMP.
Got that? What is that?
Comes just, he.
Oh.
You would say maybe he's in love and all this other stuff, but I feel like he crossed every line and did all this stuff and ended up showing himself as weak. Like, I don't think he could ever have been the man she wanted because he laid down and did so much. Like, he never took a stand. He never really was just like, we're not doing this. Like,
But he was scared. He didn't. He wasn't to. This is in a position to have boundaries where Francis was concerned because of the dynamic of how it started. Well, he did. He could have said no. I don't. Sex. I'm talking about the sex part. Oh, I'm not talking because I feel like he wouldn't have been lured in with love if it had been no sex. I think that he would have gone left. Giddy up, but he ain't caught feelings for it. I said in a certain dimension. That, yes. But aside from that, his loyalty to her, I can identify with the loyalty aspect of Javier. For sure. Who can you relate to, V? Jonathan. Oh, yeah.
And that's why he didn't do it right. Yep. We're in our last episode. He didn't do it.
I can relate to Jonathan because he was young. He made a mistake, which ultimately you said it was daddy. But that's what I think it was. Ultimately got him killed. But you wrote the book, so okay.
He deserved to die.
But he didn't deserve to die. He was like a little friend to dad. He was there for the dad. The dad had developed love and trust for him because
Yeah, I know. But that's all right. But all I'm saying is,
he developed a relationship with the father. And it was probably the relationship that he wanted with Francis the whole time because Francis didn't give a daddy nothing. Jonathan was there to absorb everything that dad went through, all that kind of stuff. So that was really like his son. Or in my
that's what. Or even he was supposed to be.
Here is Brad over help her daddy. Jonathan
Sure was gonna go to college anyway.
photo.
Then she called my fuck. Remember he said, well, why is it I haven't seen my daughter in 3 years? That wasn't just right after college years. Yeah, 3 years, but that was.
Jonathan was holding Pops down the whole time.
3 years. And then this is what I'm saying. As a man, how you know Jonathan didn't do that just because of how he felt about what transpired between him and Francis?
Why you do what?
Get close to the dad.
You might see it like the dad is
should have told him, son, you hurt my daughter, so be gone.
She gonna ignore her.
Oh, yeah, this is the same thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I wouldn't have. So my thing is, he would have to go on because number one, I'm loyal to my daughter. She not trying to kill you now, but when she find out that you done grabbed on her daddy like he your daddy, then that's a problem. But daddy
No,
didn't
she
know.
got problems. It's the way Francis take life. That's her problem. She
That's
gets
all
what
right. And you know, it's a whole lot of people that take it that way. So,
TK, if Francis had access to one thing, would it have been a therapist, a pastor, a best friend, the truth, or a Brewers? What would have worked for her?
Nothing.
So, prescription.
well, no, but for real though, and I'm just saying, she don't like sharing what she loves.
But she wasn't feeling like she loved it.
She sure. Her dad, why she wasn't? You the whole, okay, what if Toya and Clyde left you and then called you for 3 years? Would you feel like,
I remember what he said. He said, why haven't I seen her for 3 years? She kept in touch. She was in college. And she kept in touch with her dad, but her dad never did tell her that he was befriending Jonathan. So
It would take me to your appointments. Then who?
because by the time she graduated and went to college, Daddy was still able to do stuff for himself. It wasn't until he
He would all the information from her as to why she feels the way she be.
Why would he withhold it? He withheld it because he knew she wouldn't like that.
it wasn't her business? I feel like.
It was my daddy is my business. Okay, and that the baby was.
Wait a minute. Let's go to reality reset.
I'm talking about.
What now? My
Well, your business, your
No, it's all right.
Same thing.
It is something. And no, yes, because what I'm saying is, okay, let's take you for instance. Remember when I had to share you with your daddy and his wife? Baby, I had a conniption every time because I did not want to share my child with somebody else. I did, and because I couldn't do it on the bears. Then I wanted to do something to them, so that she wouldn't have to go no more. But I had to come to grips with that and go on and let her be with them people. That was me, So please, if I ain't with you, then I ain't with you. Then guess what? That's
I'm with you.
because I'm like this. I'm not going to be friends with somebody like if you got a friend that I don't like, I'm not going to be friends with that person.
I would never do that.
Oh, now, mama.
It was somebody that you were dealing with that I had a beef with.
Are you?
And I told you, I ain't got it for them. It might know how we roll. But yeah, you understood as to not having them around when I was present, but you would still befriending that person, dealing with that person when I wasn't around.
Yeah. I
So just say, as my parent, your business is your business. So in going back into Francis and her daddy's dynamic, yeah, he withheld the information, but his business was his business.
But then why would you refuse to give her the information when you think that she's okay?
But she didn't bring it up. Now, if she would have brought, well, ain't gonna bring it. She brought it up. Me think about it. He would help you world.
Maybe he will observe me. Like being aware of what the history is and y'all communicate.
Oh, he will, because she made that plain.
No, I'm saying maybe he didn't bring it up to not settle. Like,
But he brought it up when he said, go to Jonathan. He got that. You remember Jonathan?
when they in person.
Yeah, when she saw him to her lab.
We were talking about on the phone though.
Oh, when on the phone, it wasn't no need to talk about that. She didn't have no need to talk about people that she was refusing to say their name. She didn't want nothing to do with him. But that's a... You be best, huh?
If I'm talking to you and you say you don't know nothing about the name this, I'm not going to say, hey, I seen this the other day.
Yeah, well, he knew that. She didn't want nothing to do with him. So when she read, man, when she went home and then found out that they had become close, that pissed her off. And I understand it well. You know, I really do. Her daddy, you're going to see, he...
But tap into this, though. With this tidbit of conversation, I was thinking about, well, who was the most frustrating character? When it comes to Francis, I think the most frustrating character for Francis is her daddy.
Yeah, because he can't do the hair. He was all there, right?
Yeah, because of the place that he holds.
Yeah.
And how she has to handle him. But then I think it's vice versa, because he have to deal with her too. And he had to fall in line a few times. He compromised for her. Like when he was at her house, while he was sick and he was down. I don't know if that was because of his love of her or because he was in a position where he couldn't just 100% do for himself at the time.
He had a massive heart attack and they didn't ferry, and she didn't trust them, so she brought him home to care for him, and she did. They nursed him back to where he could go back home. But he did know how to handle his daughter, which tells me he handled her when she was young, while he was handling her, but he wasn't teaching her.
That's the difference.
If you got to teach a person something, you can't let them lean to their own understanding, but you handle me so that I could act the way you want, or I could do what you want. So again, I'm right back at the place of she was selfish because nobody else was selfish for her.
I would say I could see it in that way. When you say, she wasn't handled, she wasn't taught certain things, then I just imagine all you are doing is what's asked and required. And when you finally get that freedom, first thing on your mind is, what do I want to do? So, like, without her actually being taught, hey, you do these things because of this. You don't react these ways because of this. Then, yeah, I guess, even though I still call her selfish, she ain't have much room to be anything other than. I don't necessarily say, people should have been selfish for her, but I will say, from everything that we've been saying in these last few minutes, it creates a space where it's like I can see that it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it still makes sense to me.
Now, outside of Francis, y'all, who's the most misunderstood character in the book?
Javier.
I was just going to say,
I was too.
Because y'all think he loved her, and I swear he is hell. I think he really. I don't see the love in it, because eventually when you love somebody, you're willing to correct them. But he's scared of her, he weak, and he I don't got no good.
Yeah, it was Javier.
Yeah.
Because he was in a gullible position, and he was in love with the girl. But
what?
She met him because he was her driver. I mean, he was working for somebody for his right.
Yeah. Marcus, they hired him to drive her to pick her up at the airport, take her to a hotel, and then drive her to the meeting.
Okay, have you ever believed in love at first sight?
Oh, yeah.
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 Because it really started even when he first met her. She already knew, I got him. I'm going to get this. He going to have this job. I mean, she didn't give him a moment to think about it. Okay.
Man,
You keep on hitting that ass, Tame. I'm sorry. Okay. But anyway, I think, yeah, it was Javier.
And why do you think
What?
Javier is the most misunderstood character?
Well, because y'all don't understand that he really loved her.
I mean, I do.
Was he might have been a simp, but he loved her. He grew to love her.
okay, that's different.
That's what it is. He grew to love.
So growing to love and being head over heels in love are two totally different things. Did the growing to love did it begin to grow after?
The intimacy.
That's when it.
And he's a generation different. See, was the intimacy was already there during the murders.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, it grew. It didn't.
You know, remember when when he had did something wrong and he called her and he apologized, told what she did, and then she said, we'll talk when we get home. So what he did was he had rose petals and he did a romantic gesture and she ate it up. And it was at that time when I realized that she loved him too because of the response.
Why do they equal love?
Huh?
Why they equal love? When you do a big gesture like that to somebody who's been denied it's gonna mean something to her because she ain't had it.
It means
I don't think that means she loved them. I think it's just one of them. Like, oh, that's new to me. That feel good to me. I'm not saying they don't, but it's new. It feel good. Like, I just don't see the love part.
He did that to her for her, and he didn't kill her. She did that for them other guys. She killed them. So whatever her psyche bottom line hit was something like, I care for him.
But you know why? Because everything those guys did to her, he didn't do.
Right.
Everything that she wanted was loyalty. She wanted, she wanted to be with him and everything. So he was her man. He really was what she was looking for. But she didn't see it.
Neither one of them knew. They just, we ain't know. Damn, them. You see,
He did, and I'm looking up and reading this. He did.
Everybody else is dead. He was jealous of that. He put that dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to breathing, boy. You still breathing. You good.
Ask this though. What was the worst decision made in this story?
Kill Carl, the detective, I think. Because, they could have found a different way of, trying to get to him. But she panicked. She panicked when she knew that the police was asking questions about Thomas being dead. It caused her to be nervous. And it caused her, because she needed Javier just to be there. He didn't have to do any more crazy stuff. He just had to be there, be like the nanny to help take care of Rose. Now, see, that's when she said she was pregnant and was going to marry him. If I was Javier, I'd have left then. I'd have left when you brought him into the house, talking about he in the house just like you in the house. I pay him like I pay you. Well, I would have left. I would have said thank you for whatever, and I'm going. But see, he stood a chance of getting killed because he knew too much.
Yeah.
So
You think that's the reason he didn't leave? Yeah, because she was gonna get him. She told him.
Well, he was, what do you call it? He had something whirling around his head. Where it was, because remember, he said one time, this bitch getting on my nerve. In his mind, is she crazy? Then the other time, it's like, oh, Francis, I love you. It was that. And then she would make love to him all them days. And then she said, okay, now back to work. I need you to go pick up this man at the airport. That always broke my heart. I was like, how do you take that? I don't know. I probably would have snapped on her.
I would have just got in the car and kept driving.
But then too, going further, after she's dead and gone, it was made mention that Javier was on medication from dealing with this woman and all the things that she had him doing. So something was wrong. Something was clinical going on. He had a prescription.
His nerves was bad. And then, when he went and got the prescription from the doctor for her, he probably took some himself.
Yeah, I feel like the worst decision made was Javier staying.
Oh.
That's me personally, because, now she might have found a way to come and get him.
And keep him.
And keep him against his will. But when he had it out, he should have taken it out before it got that bad. But he opened himself up. I'm willing to do whatever it is that you need me to do. And that sealed his fate.
I think Justin was the dumbest one. Because you didn't repent for what you did. You didn't ask for my forgiveness, but because I got money to offer you, you're willing to come. When you know yourself, you know what you did. Why did you decide to take her money and go? Why would you do that? If you know that you've done something to her. Like, again, I said, he act like what he was telling the spirits, talking about, and they told her that's rape, and he really wanna agree that that's what he did. So I think the worst decision that was made was from him. This stupid tail getting up and going.
Yeah, he was dumb as right.
That was dumb. That was dumb. And everybody else, even, and I'm gonna tell you too, even Thomas, I think that's dumb of him too. When she called him to come, he should have just said, "No, ma'am, we were gonna break it off, and it's broke. So see you later."
He did that in the pastor chamber. That's how I understand. He spent the block.
Yep. He spent the block because while he was up there saying it, he didn't mean it. He just thought it would make a good sermon or something like that, So anyway, y'all, let's talk about the ending. Close to the end, not all the way to the end, but the time when she was picked up, the last pickup, when Godfrey picked her up from the airport. And instead of them coming right in home, they went to a hotel. And then she started breaking it down to him. He was just quiet. Wow. He was just quiet. And then from the behavior that he was starting to exhibit, I really feel like the original Godfrey, who wasn't in love with her, but just was sexing her, he came back in that time. At that time, he came to himself and realized, I don't love her. Especially when she told him what he did. He really cut off his love. So when they left to go home, it was a quiet ride. She didn't know how to read him. She didn't understand. She thought that he would just accept what it was. And when he said, "I'm not going to uproot my daughter and my life. I got a whole life. Why would I do that?" And she did not even think that he would not love her in spite of it all. She still had a mind to say, "But you're mine. You're mine. I created you. You're not going to be with anybody else. You're mine." Now, when he was told that, he felt like, I don't even know who I am. You don't know who you are. You're stupid because you were stupid when I got you, and now you're mine. You're not going to go anywhere because you're mine. And even, it's going to be where, in that book, he was meeting other females. He was. And that's when the urgency came up for her to go and reintroduce herself as who she was, because she wasn't willing to give him up to anybody, And so let's talk about Godfrey. Even when they went into the house before everybody got killed, he went into the house. And he went in the kitchen. He didn't have nothing. She said, "Well, you're not going to talk?" What could he have said, y'all? Tell me, what could he have said? Or was he gonna be like a deer in headlights and can't say nothing?
I think, he was dumb. He probably was still putting it together. Still making sense. It was like, nah, it was hot.
I think it was a mixture of things because he got everybody swirling around within him. Yes, I think Godfrey came, and I think that back to the forefront, and yeah, that was just a blank. But with all these different things going on, he probably felt a mix of unsurety, because the first thing he said was, I can't uproot my life. It was like, I gotta, how I'm gonna secure what the life I already had.
But then also he was thinking, you betrayed me.
That's what I'm thinking.
You're betrayed.
I mean, how can I trust you? Everything.
But like, my thing is this: when they brought that box to that house and he said, "Get to Erie," why the alarm didn't go up on his mind? Because he's still slow. I don't care about how much she put some brain in there, but that part didn't work very well, just some brain, because it did adapt to intelligence. He still was slow. And you're right, he was probably still putting it together. But you got to admit, if somebody did all of that, you're in shock. And you just might not have nothing.
You're probably just thinking of how much of this weird stuff has been happening. Now I know the reason. Like, ways I've been thinking of, stuff I've been hearing, ways I've been feeling. All these people ain't look. Yeah, that part. Like, because no, they still around in your day-to-day. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I'm like this. Was he at all hurt from the danger that him and his daughter was now placed in? He didn't never
heed to that, because she did tell him, but he didn't take heed to that. He was all on concern. His only concern was, I'm not who I thought I was, and you not who I thought you were, but you're somebody else, and you used me to create you a man, and you made to marry him. All of that. He was thinking about all of that, so he wasn't thinking around the danger. And never let him around those on that was in front of. Even though she told him about the danger, it was like.
So to me, he wasn't thinking about the danger, so he wasn't thinking about Rose.
Right.
He wasn't thinking about Rose.
I feel like Rose was forced upon him, because you remember
Yeah, I love to read the DNA. I know everything was forced upon him,
and they never did. He loved her all that time, but he built his business up more. So Javier was mainly raising Rose, So in my mind, I'm thinking that, he didn't love Francis like she loved him.
Mm-hmm.
And when she got pregnant, the first thing he said, well, what's she gonna do? Because she was thinking, you're gonna abort it. Let's get rid of it. But then he asked her about, is it his? And really it wasn't, because she was probably like a month pregnant, when she brought him in there.
She and Javier had something going on. He could feel that.
He could feel it.
She was with them, both of them at the same time frame.
Yeah. Would have been something if he had been sterile and didn't know it. Because
a lot of times the possibilities are endless.
A lot of the time the big guys, they big, and they muscular, and they got all this other stuff going on. Their sperm count is low.
Golly, low T.
All right, y'all. We got to wrap this one up. We're going to wrap this one up.
It's just not for me. Everybody knows.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this episode up. And again, thank you for joining us on Dissecting Francis Stein. Get out there and get the book, and get the audio book. You'll love it. You can listen to it while you're commuting and everything. And I'm telling you, when you get to a stop where you got to get out the car, you ain't going to want to, because you're going to want to continue the story. It is a page turner. All right. Again, thank you for joining us, and until the next episode. Bye. The information contained in this podcast is for entertainment purposes and marketing purposes only. If you're a victim of sexual assault, please contact 800-656-4673. If you're a victim of any of the topics discussed in this podcast, please contact Victim Connect Resource Center, 1-855-484-2846. And if you are in immediate danger, call 911. We are not responsible for any loss or damage resulting from listening or participating in this podcast or reliance on its content. The views expressed in this podcast are my own and do not reflect the views of employers, organizations, or institutions of those participating in the podcast. All rights are reserved. Unauthorized use or reproduction of this content is prohibited. This content is for entertainment and marketing purposes only and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Consult with a medical or mental health professional for any issues or concerns. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental. And finally, last but not least, none of the participants of this podcast can be responsible for your use of the context, nor the information in or linked to this podcast.